Welcome to Soapy. I'm Greg Rikaart.
And I'm Rebecca Budig. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Rebecca.
Why are you so giddy?
I'm always giddy. I'm always just so happy to see you. Especially today, because things are about to get spicy in here. They are. You know why? She's laughing, so I'll tell you. Because our guest today is her
what's wrong with him.
Screen lover.
It's called acting. Greg.
Yeah.
Yes, my co-star is here today. Sean Kanan is
That's
here
right.
today. I'm very excited.
Good.
Yeah. It's acting, Greg.
Really? But you guys recently smooched, and you got
We did. It
you
was
got a
part
bit of
the
that
story.
chemistry
It's part of the
thing
story.
happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to interview him, and you can ask him all about it.
I will.
Stick around.
When we
come
get
back.
back.
Sean
Sean
Kanan.
I want to start by saying that we sat down here and we looked at each other, and at the same exact time, we said, where are we going to start? So don't give me a hard time about being passionate about where we're going to start.
I am so excited that Sean Kanan is here.
Yes.
Welcome to Soapy.
Sean,
You don't have to
welcome.
witness us bickering like brother and sister, like we do.
It's going to happen whether or not you want to.
First of all, this is going to be more time than you and I've ever spoken before.
I know.
Which I
We've
was
actually
looking forward to
worked
that when I
It
heard
makes
about
more
doing that.
sense that I start because we work together, but he had an idea and I thought it was great.
I think it's a great jumping off point.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
So I think it's great that he starts.
So we both listened to your TED Talk, which is
wow.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And this is my launch question. When you talk about the pressure that we have to succeed, my follow up to what you were talking about in your TED Talk, which is available on YouTube and everybody should listen to it.
But can we talk about how did you get to be doing a TED Talk? But answer his question. Okay.
Did you feel that pressure? Was that pressure put on you culturally, societally, or was that pressure you had to succeed from your parents? And were you able to break that chain with your daughter?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there.
I know, sorry.
I think that, especially living in Los Angeles, especially in our business, there is pressure to succeed. I think a lot of us put that on ourselves. And for me, what I've found is as I've become, I guess, a better version of myself, a more authentic version of myself, I've felt less of a need to succeed with conformity to what external expectations are. You know, we all have a barometer inside of ourselves, and we know when we're succeeding, when we're being true to who we are. And so as I've gotten older, my definition of success has changed. You know, I think everybody has their own definition of what it takes to succeed. Now, I always talk about this idea that, you know, if you think about a guy who is maybe an immigrant and works as a janitor, maybe doesn't speak English very well, he's probably not the first guy on a list of successful people. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but if I told you that that same guy saved all of his money and put his only daughter through medical school, and she went on to save thousands of lives, we would say that that guy was actually very successful. And so for me, I've learned to not seek validation outside of myself. Look, we all like accolades. We all like to be recognized by our our colleagues and everything like that. But I think that the true success comes from within us. And when you recognize that, I think a lot of the pressure dissipates.
Yeah, and it is a hard needle to thread, right? Because we all come out here with this goal.
Sure.
And to achieve the goal of becoming an actor who's a working actor, or whatever your goal is in whatever field you work in, you do sort of have to have that external idea of what success means, right?
Yeah.
And then I think it's through growing and wisdom of age and all that where you can sort of become more authentic.
Because this is a tough city. Because I mean, if you come out here and if you gauge your success by what you see around you, you're going to be really setting yourself up for failure. I mean, there's always going to be somebody whose career seems to be doing better, someone who's got a bigger car, a bigger house. And, you know, those are not the metrics that I think that we should all be concerned with. It's are you living up to, you know, what you want to achieve in your life?
I'm a motivational speaker.
I know.
Well, I think this is incredible. I know you are a life coach. He's left set to go life coaching.
What advice have you given Rebecca? Because
Yeah, right.
I have not given her any advice.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you guys. I guess my question is how does one get to be doing a TED Talk? Because that's pretty cool.
When I really distill it down, the simple answer is.
I know you wrote books, but I don't know how.
When I was thinking about what I wanted to accomplish that year, doing a TED Talk was one of those things. But what ultimately was the genesis that led me to doing a TED Talk was I had a really big personal transformation in my own life. You know, I was 50 years old, and my wife got me a star on the Palm Springs Boulevard. And it was this big day, and the mayor was there, and people said nice things about me and all of that. And the reality was I very much felt like a fraud. You know, I was 40 pounds overweight. I was hanging on to my job by the skin of my teeth.
Which job was that?
I think it was General Hospital. And, you know, I was looking in the mirror, and I just was saying to myself, what's next? And I didn't know. And you know, I was really struggling with drinking, and my wife never threatened to leave me or anything like that. But she said something to me that just was really the catalytic moment that started to change things for me. She said, I've put everything into this relationship and I love you. Please tell me I didn't back the wrong horse. And it just was like, boom. And that really started me on the journey of making some very, very significant changes in my life. And as I made those and as I figured some things out within myself, it was like the clouds parted and all the things that I couldn't make happen and couldn't understand why and why wasn't I getting this or that, it all seemed to come effortlessly. And so I put a lot of the strategies and the philosophy that I used into my book, Way of the Cobra. And for people that don't know it, Cobra is an acronym. It's character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And once I had done that and the books had become very successful, there's 3 of them, I wanted to do a TED Talk. And through a series of some luck and a little bit of tenacity, the opportunity arose and I was able to do it.
And you spoke for like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, you have to speak for 15 minutes. And it's...
And you don't use notes.
No, you don't use notes.
That's some memorizing.
I'll tell you a funny story. So I flew down to Dallas to go do it because you don't really know where you're going to do your TED Talk. And so they have a theater and it's full. There's probably a couple hundred people in there. And so they were having technical problems all day long. Some people had slides and the slides were out of order and wisely, I said, okay, I'm not going to do slides because I'm going to minimize whatever problems there could be. But so I was doing mine and they were having all sorts of sound problems. And I would say I gave about a B speech. And I walked off the stage and my wife and I went back to the hotel and I was like, damn it. I said, that is not why I flew down here to do that. And so I picked up the phone and I called them and I said, look, I'm coming back to the theater and I'm going to redo my speech. And they said, well, we don't do that. And I said, well, today you do. And so I came back, the theater was empty because they had sent everyone away. And so it was like my wife, Michelle, and a couple people from South Lake TED Talk. And I did my speech again. And that was the speech that I went down there to do.
Is that the one that we see?
That's the one you see, yeah.
We never get a second take.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's a metaphoric in life. Sometimes you gotta ask for that.
Did anyone see the first one and then see the second one and say, I get why you wanted to do that?
Well, I think it was obvious because there was just so many technical problems on their side. And, you know, being a professional actor and doing stand-up comedy and everything, I was able to kind of muscle my way through it. But a lot of people got really thrown. One girl ran off the stage crying. I mean, I felt really badly for her because, you know, you put so much work into
and
this.
it's a big moment.
It's a big moment.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a writer, you would think, well, it's probably pretty easy to write your TED Talk. I had to submit it 15 times because there's a very strict style that you have to conform to. And so everybody put a tremendous amount of work into their speech, and to go fly down there and have something that's really out of your control not work properly.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I don't know. I mean, I just was like, I'm going to do it again. And no one else really asked to do it again. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow. I'm blown away by that.
I know, that's pretty amazing.
I didn't know that.
Also, when the theater is full, how many people are listening to you?
I think there were a couple hundred.
That's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's a hard moment to hear about the people that were not able to sort of.
God, and you're
meet the
lucky
moment.
because you've worked on soap operas, and there's a lot of pressure, and we do things so fast, and
Exactly.
and things go wrong, and you just have to kind of keep going. So
Well,
you're kind of one of the lucky ones, but
And coming full circle, because you talk about your what you were battling in your TED Talk, and your character on General Hospital years ago, right?
Yeah.
Was battling alcoholism, and I'm curious, like, did you see how was that story told in a way where you're like, oh, that mirrored some things that were actually happening in my life?
There were a lot of things that were mirroring my off-camera life and my character's life, and it was difficult. You know, I think for a long time when I was younger, I got caught up in that idea. I think this happens to a lot of rock stars. They think that they sort of have to live on the edge to really be in touch with their creativity, and I think that's a delusion that a lot of people perpetuate for themselves. Because as soon as I stopped drinking and I just found that my work became a lot more grounded and real. And, that was kind of an excuse that I used for a long time.
I used to think when I first started on Young and Restless, I was going through my first major heartbreak in life, and I was so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they were giving me like really emotional scenes to play, and it was so easy because I just had to open my mouth and out. It was like
The emotions
therapy.
were so raw for you, right?
And then as I got older and became therapized, I was scared. I was scared of like healing wounds because I was afraid that I wouldn't have that access, which is...
I don't know about you, but like I look at acting, I teach acting too. And I believe that acting can be therapeutic for the challenges we have in life. I mean, I literally think that you can take a scene where you have a challenge that you can relate to your own life, because you always want to use your own emotional Rolodex and experiential, and I think that by going after what you need in a scene, it's almost like a catharsis. You can heal some things in your own life and kind of excise them sometimes. For you.
Even if they're
not all the time, but sometimes.
But
right?
also, even if it's not play by play exactly your experience,
right?
Yes, emotionally we can sort of follow the.
But
the
what
river.
you talked about being therapized. I think as actors, we all know that when we have something that's really an emotionally charged, hot issue that we go to as actors, the more you go to that well, the less water there is to draw from. And rather than be afraid of that, it's like, okay, let's find the next thing that I can
dig deeper, literally and figuratively.
Wow. You do a lot. You direct. Do you have you directed?
I don't direct. My wife directs. I produce and write.
Right. You produce and you write.
I do.
And you teach.
I do.
And you coach.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot, Sean.
I do.
But it all started when you were a young man and you auditioned in this open casting call for Karate Kid 3. I mean, you were doing things before that, correct?
Yeah. But
probably
just I'd done
little things.
I'd done one guest star role on a show that got canceled soon after. Oddly enough, John J. York from General Hospital was the star of that show. So that was kind of fun to get to meet him before I ever did General Hospital. But yeah, that was the big thing.
But I love the story of how you went to this big open casting call. You were already into the martial arts at this point, right? So, and then there was like a great bit on, was it ET or Extra something? When you're like this little baby Sean. And he's like, do you want me to do my moves for you? His voice a little higher.
My voice is like higher, right?
He's like, he does his little karate moves. Anyway, you didn't get the part. And
this was for Karate Kid.
They hired somebody else
for the third one.
No, the third one, right?
Yeah, they hired somebody else and they brought me back.
They hired someone else. So tell the story after you didn't get the part and then you got the call.
Well,
that guy got fired.
So
Get down here.
I went to this open call and there were thousands of people there. And I knew I probably had about 5 seconds to get John Avildsen's attention. John won the Academy Award for Rocky in '76 and he directed the Karate Kid 2. And so he had me do an improv with him on the street, basically. And he said, okay, I buy that. Brought me in and I screen tested with Ralph Macchio and I thought I did really well. And about a week later, I learned the crushing truth that I did not get the role. And
did you know Ralph sort of peripherally? Because a lot of us would audition with the same people.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, I never auditioned with Ralph.
Okay.
And then I got a call to come back to the studio, and I knew they weren't calling to tell me I didn't get the role again, but I figured, okay, maybe there's a buddy of the lead bad guy or something, like a henchman or something. So I show up and I go to the producer's office, and there's Robert Mark Kamen, who created The Karate Kid. He went on to do Taken and The Transporter and all these other huge movies. And they had me do a few martial arts moves and talk to me for a second. And then they went into this adjacent room and left the door open so I could hear them talking. And I knew that if this happened, it was going to change my life.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, you got the part. This is what you're making a week. Go right to wardrobe. Like, there was no time to even call my parents, right?
Oh my God.
It was
Because you didn't have cell phones then.
Faster than beer through a Shriner. Yeah. And then we had been rehearsing for about a month. And we were shooting for about 2 weeks, and I started getting this pretty significant pain in my upper left thigh, which I thought was from all the martial arts. So I started taking a lot of aspirin. So we broke for Christmas. Christmas Day, 1988, I was in Las Vegas, and I passed out. The pain in my leg was from internal bleeding, and the blood was dripping on my femoral artery, causing the pain. The aspirin was a blood thinner. It exacerbated the bleeding. So they took me to the hospital and they said, okay, we have to operate on you. And I said, like Monday? And they said, no, like in 10 minutes. And they said, here's a piece of paper. And this says that you understand that we don't know if we can save your life. And when I tell you that things got real very quickly, to date, it's still the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
Also crazy that you must not have been alone then, right? Because if you passed out, someone had to.
Yeah, I was there with a friend. And
imagine if you were alone, like we wouldn't be here right now.
Well,
where were your parents? What did
my parents were in the East Coast. I was already living in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It was a girl I was dating, and we drove from Los Angeles through the desert, and we started to drive back from Vegas, and this happened, like, can you imagine, like in Victorville or somewhere like that, where there's not a level 1 trauma, hospital. I would have died. And I remember that this doctor was, the surgeon was just about to put me under. And I come from a family of doctors, and I said, please, whatever you do, I'm giving advice to the surgeon. I said, whatever you do, if you can resect the abdominal muscles and not cut through them, please do that. Because I knew if they cut my abdominal muscles, there's no way I would ever make it back to the film. And long story short, they did that and saved my life. I woke up, I had a 15-inch wound on my abdomen with surgical staples. And, the first thing I thought about was what's going to happen with the film. Yeah. And I got a call very quickly from John Avildsen, and, there were no flowers, no balloons, just get back to work in 2 weeks or you're going to lose the part. They were going to hire Brandon Lee. And I got pissed off. I mean, I was angry. I was, I'd come so far to get this role. And so I got out of bed and was able to go to the restroom in my room, and then got back in bed and collapsed. And the next day I could walk around the hospital floor. Day after that, I could walk around 3 times, and I had them discharge me against medical advice. And long story longer, I wound up doing all my own stunts in the film. Yeah.
Do you know what the inciting injury was?
Yeah. I did this really, not even a stunt. I had to stand in a stationary position and kind of throw myself 2 feet onto the ground. They were going to match that with a shot of me getting thrown through some doors, and just the repetitiveness of, boom, boom, boom. I basically sprung a leak.
On your femoral artery?
In my omentum, which sits on top of your greater intestine. And it was bleeding for about a week. And so when I passed out, it was because I had lost so much blood, I went into shock.
But before that, you weren't aware that?
I was having that pain in my leg.
Right.
But it wasn't from the martial arts. It was from, the
when you're doing all that physical work, you think,
we were training hours and hours a day.
Right.
So.
Wow. Yeah. And do you still continue to do martial arts right now?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
The Japanese, or do you do like?
Shotogun, is that what it's called?
What I started with was Shotokan and Shito-ryu, which oddly enough is very similar to what Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel.
Oh yeah.
Before I did season 6 of Cobra Kai, I wanted to really work on my kicks and everything. So I went and studied Taekwondo, which I'd never studied before. So that's really what I'm working on right now.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah.
Well, on top of all of that incredible stuff, you get to make out with this one.
Yeah, right.
It's a pretty good deal.
So tell us about The Bold and Beautiful and talk about your journey on as Deacon on 2 shows, right?
Yeah, on YNR and on Bold and the Beautiful. So this is my 25th year since I started playing Deacon, and
Congratulations.
I can't believe that. I mean, it's crazy.
Milestones are wild, aren't they?
It just, and I'm so blessed to be on this show.
Talk about how great Bold and the Beautiful is.
Bold and the Beautiful.
So great.
I've been on 4 shows, and with all due respect to all of them,
I know, I love them all.
It's the best work experience I've ever had. Brad Bell is probably one of the very best bosses anyone could work for.
We hear that time and time again.
Yeah.
He really cares about the people that are on the show. And when you feel that, I've always been the kind of guy, I don't know about you, but when somebody gives me negative reinforcement, I rebel. And when somebody gives me positive reinforcement, I will break my back for them. And with Bold and the Beautiful, we have such a great crew, and they're all so supportive that I love coming to work. 25 years later, I'm as impassioned about it as I was before. Hasn't always been that way on every show I've worked on. And
he values niceness. He values family.
Decency and kindness.
Yeah,
and
he does.
we don't have drama on the show, and everyone treats each other with respect, and we all care about what we're doing, and we have fun.
Yeah. We do.
I think that's the key to the combo, right? It's like having the passion. And by the way, I do the same thing. I am so grateful that I get to work in this medium. I am so grateful for the people I'm surrounded by who also, I think I operate in a very similar way. It's like, if you tell me I'm doing well, I want to do even better.
Right.
Because I want another compliment.
Right.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Currently, storyline-wise, you guys are.
So I used to watch Rebecca when she played Greenlee, and I was.
And you were on GH, I think, when I was
on GH from 92 to 97, and then I came back again in 2014, I think. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember seeing you, but I just.
So I was actually really excited to work with you, and you never know when you work with a new actor or actress what the chemistry is going to be like. Is there going to be chemistry? And then also, are you just going to get along with that person? Because everyone's got different personalities and they work different ways. And for me, it's been seamless. I love working with Rebecca. I also love, working with Kimberlyn.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good deal to be able to work with.
The 3 of us are good together. I said we should have
we've asked this question of other actors, but do you think that there is a secret ingredient to having chemistry, or do you think it's just something that we've gotten across the board answers? Some people say you either have it or you don't. Other people think you can sort of manufacture it. What's your take on it?
I think if you're an actor with a lot of experience, there are ways that you can manufacture it to an extent, but nothing beats having that organic chemistry. I think it's a fine line between, for me, making the actress that I'm working with feel safe and confident when they work with me, but also creating some electricity so that it manifests on screen.
Yeah, that the audience feels it.
And I think it's the same with everything in acting. You bring your authentic self to it, and if you do that, more often than not, that's going to generate chemistry if it's received by the other person as being truly authentic. I think.
Why are you smiling at me like that?
I want to talk about your movie.
Yeah.
When is it coming out? Well, I mean, meanwhile, he's shooting the show. Well, the one great thing about our show is that we
sleep?
No, but we do have time on our show. That's the
true.
one
We do.
wonderful.
And I have an amazing
schedule.
wife who is.
Yeah, but we have 4-day weeks. We have you have weeks off. So
We have time.
you were able to do a movie that your wife directed. Tell us about it.
My wife directed it. She and I wrote and produced it with our company, Flip Creative. It's called Body Man, and it takes place during a California senatorial race with a backdrop of fentanyl and human trafficking. Oh. And it's a female-driven action film. We took it to AFM. We have a sales agent that is going to be selling it for us starting next week because we just gave them the screener, and it's going to Cannes and all that sort of good stuff. And it's been an amazing experience. And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, why are you still on Bold and the Beautiful? You're doing all these other things. Because I love it, but it also affords me the ability to do all these other things. You know, it's a lot easier to pursue other things when you've got the wonderful blessing of, I don't even like to use the term safety net, but you know, it is, right? You know, and that's a byproduct of being on Bold and the Beautiful, is that it has given me the ability to have this whole other career. And I don't know if you know this, but you wouldn't know this, but Brad Bell graciously wrote a letter to the Producers Guild on my behalf. And, you know, it was really instrumental in my becoming a member of the Producers Guild. And that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me, but that's,
you know, he's just a good, decent guy.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
So will we be able to see this stuff?
Yeah. My guess is that probably in about 4 to 6 months that it's going to be on one or multiple platforms. We don't know which. We're sort of entertaining where it goes.
What I love is that he wrote it, and then he was like, I can't memorize it.
It's so true. I can't tell you how many,
like, really?
It was Studio City too. I can't tell you how many times I will write stuff and go, why can't I remember my own damn lines?
Do you, so it sounds like based on, so we've covered everything except directing, right? Because you write, you produce,
Yeah,
you
I don't
act.
direct.
Is
You're
that
not
something
interested?
that,
You know, I probably would like to at some point, but watching my wife, one of the biggest skill sets a director has to have outside of, you know, understanding camera and everything, you have to have tremendous organizational skills. And my wife is really good at minutia and detail. And I'm really good. A lot of what I do as a producer is on the finance end, you know, putting the deals together. That's what I really love doing. And so that's why we're a really good team. I can't do the minutia as well as she does. And so it's just a good team. She loves directing. I love producing. We both love writing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's working.
I've always thought, oh, maybe directing is something I'd want to pursue. But as you talk about attention to detail, I'm like, yeah, that's not something I want to pursue. I don't have any attention to detail. What about, we had Heather Tom and Lawrence St. Victor on here. What about writing on Bold and Beautiful? Is that something that's crossed your mind?
Well, you know, that's something that I would really be interested in doing. You know, if that ever
Have you
avails
ever
itself.
broached the subjct?
We've had
You heard
talks
it
about
here, Brad. You heard it here.
We've had talks about it. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
And
Yeah.
well, to your point about not only a safety net, but also the opportunities that Bold and Beautiful has afforded you.
Right.
We would be remiss to not talk about it's also turned you into a dancer.
Oh, that's a really big word for what.
I have not seen footage of this. I need to
Yeah.
find this. When did
So-
you do Dancing with the Stars in Italy?
I did Bailando con le Stelle. So when I started Bold and Beautiful and I found out how popular it was in Italy, I made the conscious decision to start studying Italian. And so I've been studying Italian now for 20 some years.
Wow.
And I figured, okay, if I can speak Italian, I can probably have another career over in Italy. And I actually have done a lot of work over in Italy. And so I got the offer to do Dancing with the Stars. This was before, though, I could speak Italian. And
Do you think you need to speak Italian to do it?
well, the whole show was in Italian. So, I mean, it was,
I guess you
and I
do.
didn't really have a whole lot of translation. I remember that the presenter, the hostess of the show, Millie Carlucci, she asked me one time, and this is live audience, 5 million people watching this, including the Pope, who was a big fan of the show. She said, "Dove sei nato?" which means where were you born? And I wanted to say, well, I was born in Cleveland, but I escaped when I was 5. So the verb for escape is scappare, and the verb for to have sex, we'll say, is scopare. And your buddy Sean chose the wrong one. And then she said to me, you know, how did you feel after your dance? And I wanted to say that I felt discouraged. So the verb for to be discouraged is scoraggiare, and the verb to fart is scoraggiare. So I told everybody that I got laid when I was 5 and then
And you farted.
Go Sean. True story.
That's amazing.
Oh my God, that is
I've become
so
kind of famous with my Italian interviews for
my God.
occasionally mangling the language.
Oh, they must love that though.
I was
That's
doing.
like
I
gold.
was at an Italian film festival, and
would
it was outside, and I'm doing this interview, and this seagull lands nearby, and the word for seagull is gabbione, and the word for like a prison cell is gabbia. And so I said Gabbia instead of Gabbione. And a year later, I was at the same film festival and, Gabbione, they remembered. So, you
my God,
you got to
this
embrace
is
it.
so
Well, I'm surrounded
good.
by greatness because we have Dancing with the Stars. Do you know, I don't know if you know this, but you are in the presence of the winner of the one and only season of Skating with the Stars right here.
You told me that. I have so much respect for that because
right,
that's got to
I
be
told
so
you
much
that.
harder.
By the way, I really want your trophy here. Will you bring it?
Oh yeah, it's in Minnesota.
So
it back.
wait, but you grew up in Minnesota, so skating for you is
No,
like,
I grew up in Kentucky, but
Oh, in
I grew up
Kentucky.
figure skating, but I stopped when I was like 9.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do pair skating. And
Right.
my coach wanted me to pair skate because I was so little. And my mom wouldn't let me move with her to Detroit. But can't blame her. And so when they asked me to do Dancing with the Stars, I kept saying no for like 10, I don't know how long, 7 years. And then they asked me to do Skating with the Stars. And
so
I'm
you
like,
chose the harder choice.
it was one season. I mean, obviously I
won.
didn't do
It's hard though.
It was hard. It was hard. I literally was shaking
Yeah.
the day that the first episode. I was like, what have I done?
Right.
Like, what have I done? This is terrifying. It was so fun leading up to it. And then I was
Right.
like,
Right. It's hard.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. That would terrify me. Not that I've ever been asked to be on either show, but I can't skate or dance.
how did you start making hot sauce?
How
What
did
is
I-
up with this hot sauce?
So my first book was a cookbook, The Modern Gentleman: Cooking and Entertaining with Sean Kanan. I'm a foodie. I love food, and I knew I wanted to get into some kind of a food service product type thing, and I love hot sauce. I came up with the idea of Bad Boy hot sauce, Bad Boy of Karate from
Karate
Kid 3 and Cobra Kai, and people love it. I've got 3 flavors. We're going to be going into Gelson's later this year, and
Congratulations.
That's amazing.
it's a lot of fun. You
And
know?
a lot of work, right?
It's a lot of work. It
Because
is.
manufacturing, I know, the more successful you get, you have to find bigger
It
companies that
is,
can
and
help you
it's
manufacture.
it's really difficult to compete with, when you're sort of a boutique brand and you can't afford to mass produce like the others. You have to be more strategic and selective with the stores that you want to get into that have a higher price point, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I love giving hot sauce to people, and I should have brought you guys some.
Yeah, I know, shame.
And you know what I'll do?
For
when
shame,
when
for
I
shame.
come back to work, I'm going to give you some, and I'm going to give you some for Greg, okay?
Okay.
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 Do you like hot sauce?
I love hot sauce.
Do you like spicy or?
I love spicy. And I'm
Okay.
into I like a spicy and a buffalo. are my
okay, perfect.
jams. Okay, we've got some fan questions.
Oh,
with you.
right.
Okay.
Oh, right.
We're having so much fun. We forgot about, look, we didn't
wait,
do
okay.
anything in here.
Can I? Well,
Go ahead.
Well, I know with this. No, go. I know the
Are
answer
you
to this.
stroking out? Are you okay? Do you smell toast?
Isaac, can we fire him? Okay. Are you interested in doing comedy? But I know you did stand-up comedy for a
do,
second,
yeah.
right?
No, I still do when I have time. Yeah,
So you're interested in doing comedy?
I love doing comedy. Yeah,
Stand-up is terrifying.
it is. But I'll tell you something. If you can do stand up, as I always tell young actors in my classes, I was like, whether you go up and bomb or you do great, it will fundamentally change you as an actor forever because you get such a sense of being able to fight off the ropes.
Yeah.
And it's like you and your words, and it's kind of like doing a play. I mean, there's no cut. Let's back to one.
Yeah.
And it really teaches you to improv, which we know as actors, if you can improv, if you can do a little writing, you can take something that's maybe good and really make it great.
Yeah.
So
That's great advice. Okay. Why do you think, in your opinion, why do you think soaps are so important now? And why do you think people should be watching soaps?
So I think the reason, even though we've seen sort of a culling of the herd,
But then now we're also on the upswing,
we're
right?
on the upswing, right? I think that a lot of people that are fans of the soaps have had a longitudinal relationship with the show, meaning, they watched it with their grandmother when they were young and then their mom, and now they watch it maybe with their kids. And the characters that are on the shows, they've kind of grown up with a lot of them. Yeah. And also the crux of soap operas are relationships, which everyone can relate to, and conflict, which keeps everybody interested. Mm-hmm. And, you go see a movie, you gotta, drive to the theater, pay $20, shut up and sit in the dark for 2 hours. But all you have to do is turn your TV on with us. Yeah. And for a lot of people, that relationship that they have with these characters it provides a sense of connection.
Yeah.
And so, we're doing the Lord's work.
That's a great
Well, I also
answer.
think we have a new episode every single day, and you can stream it now. You don't have to watch it on.
Yeah.
You can stream all of them. Okay. Are you done with that question?
I
Because
am
I was going to
done.
ask you another fan question. How was it working on Karate Kid 3 and then coming back for Cobra Kai?
Yeah, we
Were
didn't
you
talk about
season
Cobra Kai
5
yet.
of
I did
season
season
5
5
of
and
Cobra,
6.
Cobra
5 and
Kai?
6,
Yeah,
yeah.
5 and 6.
It's not very often that you get another bite at the apple 35 years
35
later
years
to play
later.
a part.
Incredible.
You know?
The same part.
The same part.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, coming back 35 years later as a guy that now has done a significant amount of work,
Mm-hmm.
I was brand new when I got that role. You know, I was like this kind of young kid full of piss and vinegar, and I was able to kind of utilize that for that role. But it was nice to come back as a seasoned actor and bring some nuance to it. It's also kind of nice to join a show that's the #1 show in the world. How often do you get the chance to do that? You know, we do so much work sometimes that never sees the light of day. I don't think a lot of people realize that. You know, you do an independent movie or you do a pilot or something and you put your heart and your soul into it and nobody ever sees it. And to be able to be a part of something that everybody sees was just amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
I hope that satisfied whoever asked that question.
No, it was a great answer.
That
All
was
of
a
these
great
were great answers. You're a delight. It's been so lovely spending this time
It's
with
been
you.
nice to finally talk to you a
right?
little bit.
We've actually worked together adjacent.
Adjacent,
Yeah.
right?
Right, because you worked at Glowworm on Young and the Restless, which
Right.
was Gloria's.
I just remember you were like a
Restaurant.
bank robber named the Chipmunk or something. Is that right?
You can see yourself out.
No, I just remember hearing about that. I didn't really know about it.
That was.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay,
Bringing
so
up the chipmunk.
so then
I
Maria
love it.
Bell was writing the show at the time.
Okay.
I love Maria Bell.
Yeah.
Passions had just gone off the air.
Okay.
And as an homage to Passions, Maria's like, we're going to do something we don't normally do because Young and Restless is a little more reality based. And it was. My character was suffering from Stockholm syndrome and was forced to rob these banks wearing this giant chipmunk mascot head, and then had to
Makes
go
good
into
sense to me. I mean, that's
perfect sense, right? I mean,
love that that's what
who
he
among us
remembers.
hasn't?
I love that that's what he remembers.
about a nickel.
But it was this
wasn't your
deranged
terrific
giant
acting.
mascot head that had like blood coming down. It was awful. Not my favorite storyline that I've ever been a part of, and
But we've
probably
all had
why
those, right?
I was losing my mind, which is why we were not sharing screen time together because I was in an institution. Anyway, come back and see us again, will ya?
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime. Thank you so
Please.
much.
You
I'll
guys.
see you next week or something.
Yeah, you'll be
hope
smooching on stage. You can watch these two lovely people weekdays on The Bold and Beautiful on CBS. You can stream it on Paramount Plus. You can also see Sean on Cobra Kai seasons 5 and 6, and in a million other places. Just type his name into the Google search bar and watch his TED Talk.
He's got his own website, dude.
And Hot Sauce, he's everywhere. And you can listen to any episodes of Soapy you may have missed on the CBS YouTube channel or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you guys next time.